Welcome to Tea and Transits in the middle of my yacht. It's Saturday, September 30th, 8:04 a.m. in Maui, Hawaii. And it's the last day of September, so Billy Joe from Green Day will be waking up tomorrow. And we are in 18.4?
Yes.
Wonderful.
That it is.
Correction. In the spleen, line 4, the incompetent. Difficulties as a result of inadequacies that cannot be resolved because of the inadequacies. This, given that this negative position, survival through suffering, the inability to correct and its potential for suffering. That is indecision and anxiety, no escape from misfortune, the demands of correction, and the potential to generate anxiety. So a lot of this correction is realizing like what can't be corrected.
Yeah.
Like these last 2 days have been like that of like there's like a suffering that happens when correction is applied to something that cannot be corrected. And naturally with the splenic awareness, gate 18, that's part of correction is to realize like, oh wow, that makes so much sense. So for anyone with the 1858, this is a huge code. So much of your judgment, if it's never invited, consider that maybe that is a signal that that thing cannot be corrected. And that's why it's not being invited. Right? Because I feel like a lot of people with that channel, my partner included, is like, man, if they would only do this and that, and it kind of comes out a little bit sideways and whatnot. Like there's no correcting that. What's it Ko says? Elevate your laptop with a stand to get airflow. Look at all that airflow. It still gets hot. It's just kind of an older one. But anyway, so yes, I mean that was a awesome little piece, right? Like a perfect example is like, what corrections can I make to my laptop to make it not run as hot, up to the point where I actually just have to replace it. Right? In gate 18, I've always seen gate 18, right, as this ability to always know what the correction can be in any given situation. However, also what I'm learning from going through this transit is realizing that, again, some things cannot be resolved, some things cannot be corrected, and that's part of the awareness of correction, which seems like but
for everybody.
Right. So you'll see people banging their head against the walls, trying to correct things that cannot be corrected. And you'll also see people in anxiousness demanding correction, whereas there is no possibility for correction. I'm so curious what the I Ching has to say about this.
Yes, it will come. Let us pour the tea.
Indeed. Right? So, because it's like sometimes to work on what has been spoiled means to throw the thing that has been spoiled away. And that's kind of what I'm learning as well, is a lot of the times probably correction is just like replacing the thing or we're acknowledging that it can't be fixed. That's a lot of water.
That was a little...
That was a lot of water. See what I mean? Work on what has been spoiled. Throw it all away.
Can you guess what we are working on spoiling of today? We had yesterday the father. Well, we're continuing in the father.
Oh, we're back to the dad line, huh?
Oh, it's staying with the dad for a couple days.
Okay.
That's what we've been in. So,
all right.
6 in the 4th place, tolerating what has been spoiled by the father. In continuing, one sees humiliation. So this shows the situation of someone too weak to take measures against decay, that it has its roots in the past and is just beginning to manifest itself. It is allowed to run its course. If this continues, humiliation will result. So if you got roots that were like stuck in the past and all these past beliefs, and you're passing those on to your children or to people around you, without even knowing, because it's just starting to manifest, it's something to work on and work on what's been spoiled. Obviously, my dad didn't teach me how to pour tea, so I just poured it all over the damn place.
My dad didn't teach me to pour tea either. I'm gonna teach my baby how to pour some tea, though.
I'm gonna teach my baby how to hold chopsticks, too.
Chopsticks, pour tea, and be the strongest little one.
That's right. But yeah, so a lot. If you could like just nip those things when you see them happening, then the humiliation will not result.
Mm,
So if you can catch yourself in like I'm doing something that is an old pattern that I've seen kind of before. Let me just and
right.
take the time to assess it, find the opportunity to cut the bullshit and
Right.
let go.
And it's also like there's a because right here it's a difficult position, the fourth line in
Yeah.
this gate, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like it says given this negative position, survival through suffering. So understanding too that like going in and cutting the roots away or pruning a plant, like there's some bit of life is going to be lost and let go of.
Mm-hmm.
But in the understanding, right, that will eventually bring humiliation. It's like, rip the Band-Aid off kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
before you allow the Band-Aid to get infected because you haven't cleaned the wound.
Yes. That and the roots are still going to be there.
Right.
So it's like knowing that it's there and present, but knowing how to use it or how not to use it.
Yes, letting go. It is what it is. Hard to accept sometimes, but freeing if you can, right?
True.
So with this transit, right? One of the things that's interesting, like Natty is mentioning, she has the 58.6, so the channel is defined through the transit. With this extra spleen energy, you might attempt to prune and cut things away purely based off of this transit, which you should not do. That's a transit decision. That's not a strategy and authority decision, right? So it's like the spleen, with the definition from the transits, will attempt to act like a defined spleen, and the defined spleen cuts shit away that's not good for it. You have an undefined spleen, so you're not like, you don't know what to cut away. But then it gets all hyped up because it's like, 18's in transit, right? You might think that like, now I know what to cut away. You might cut away some stuff that's actually really good for you. So, don't make these transit-based decisions. Make sure that you're still following your strategy and authority. Make sure you're following. Feel the hype. Yeah, it's real. It's real, right? So yeah, just wanted to mention that because that's key, within especially for people with a lot of openness in their charts, and their definition changes a lot. Just because the transits define something doesn't necessarily mean that center is now able to work as though it were a defined center. It's still an undefined center, right? So if it's defined, then we do know where to make the cuts. Generally speaking, yeah, if your spleen is defined, you typically know and you have this intuitive awareness of what needs to be cut away for you, right?
Yeah, then looking at what gates and channels you have and like how to utilize those in the process.
Thanks for that. I've been legit feeling to cut people off. So, Tim, obviously as a reflector, right? One of the things you want to consider is like, before you cut someone off, have you witnessed the relationship within the breath of one of your lunar cycles? Because that's actually something that I've done quite a bit. And I found myself like wanting to give people 2 or 3 lunar cycles to really understand why it is that I was leaving them behind. And what it looks like really is just like, I like put this person in this like lunar cycle box, and I'm like, I'm going to watch what you do independent of my action. I'm not going to reach out. I'm effectively withdrawing my energy from you. I want to see what kind of interactions you want with me, and then let that play out for 28 days. Once that's played out, by the end of it, you're usually pretty clear in the lines of like, I could just totally not have this person in my life and feel way better for it. Right? So that's something that, again, instead of using gate 18 to cut people away, do you have 58? Instead of using gate 18 to cut people away, you can use your strategy to cut people away. And that's how you work with, again, the undefined centers, especially as having so much openness.
You could ride the emotional wave, or you could wait a lunar cycle, or you could tune into your sacral and figure it out.
Right, because again, the consistency for a reflector is the definition that happens over and over again. Because every time the moon goes through a cycle, it's the same. Your spleen and throat are defined, and then it's like your solar plexus in your throat, and then your heart and your G, and then this, and then you're a reflector for 3 days, and like that cycle every 28 days is consistent. Whereas for sacral being, their cycle is anytime anything comes towards me. It's or like if a punch comes towards Luke's face. Like that was his lunar cycle. For me, it's like if a punch comes towards my face, I'll have to think about it for 28 days. You do have 58. Yeah, so then that's where the extra pressure or the awareness of I want to cut these people off is coming from, is the 18 in transit that's defining the spleen and the root. There also is the root that gets defined, right? And the root, the undefined root doesn't know when to hurry. It tends to rush in order to get the pressure off, not because it's time to hurry. It tends to take its time when it's really time to hurry. And so there's also a timing mechanism that links up with that undefined spleen in this transit. Again, if you have an undefined root and an undefined spleen, you don't want to cut people off right now because you might feel the pressure to cut someone off. You might feel the awareness that, oh, this needs to get cut off. But again, unless you're following your strategy and authority, you can't be sure that that's the right decision, right? I've struggled to let people go as a splenic projector. And you will struggle once they are gone. In the sense of like, oh man, I wish I had friends, and I'm saying this because I watched my my partner feel like, oh, I wish I had more friends, and I'm like, baby, you let go of those friends for a reason. She's like, I know, but still. So it's like, that's the thing is there's no human experience without some kind of sensation that can then be categorized as like a negative feeling or something like that. So
yeah.
Anything else to add?
No.
On to gate 17. Wonderful. Gate 17. So now we move from the splenic awareness, which is our first awareness, into the second awareness, which is the ajna, which is cognitive and mental awareness. Line 4 is the personal manager. This is the ability to probe and discover the underlying motivation and resources of those who wish to follow. The possibility of opinions based on the understandings of others. That is the overgenuous and often misguided acceptance of would-be followers, often with disastrous results. The possibility of opinions attracting others.
So using opinions to bring others in, or like having like, oh, I think this because it's going to bring these types of people towards me, would be the detriment.
I mean, I guess it's like exaltation is possibility of opinions based on the understanding of others. Mm-hmm. And then detriment is possibility of opinions attracting others. Yeah, so it's like you're either attracting followers, right? Or you're understanding why people wish to follow you. Mm-hmm. Which actually, that's like a very distinct difference, right? Because there's something that happens, like, I think like in here, I judge myself to be more in the exaltation of this gate, in particular with this Discord, because I feel like, I'm not putting out ideas based off of the fact that I want people to follow me, right? I'm putting out ideas because I want to build a community. And the detriment of this, it's one that's just like, who's going to follow? I'm going to adopt these ideas. That's kind of what I'm getting. Overgenuous and often misguided acceptance of would-be followers, often with disastrous results. So accepting followers without understanding them, just based on the alignment of the opinion alone.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how that showed up already for you this morning. You just woke up and you're like, I'm going to go live and Digblast people, because I usually talk about human design.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, this is the mixture of things that people like me for and why they follow me.
Right.
So when you give a little bit of that blend so that there's a balance.
Right. And then that also prevents me from getting too fixed into one avenue of service, which when I do that, like if I just keep it here on Discord, it'll get stagnant for me. If I just keep it on TikTok or I just keep it in the real world, it gets really stagnant for me. So there's a definite desire for variety in my own health and in my own world, which I always like forget. I'm like, oh, that's right. One of the reasons why I have, kind of such a large following on TikTok is because of my didgeridoo and my Digblast. And also that's like very simple medicine where I don't need to say any words. People just feel it.
Mm-hmm. That is the fact.
More Digiblasts. And I also am thinking of doing, I used to do like full-blown sound healings on like online. And so I was thinking about maybe offering one here if there's interest. So if you guys want like a virtual sound healing from me, let me know. Yeah,
Let's type
let me know. Mash the keyboard with your fist.
Yes, do it here. Yes,
Awesome.
please.
So I'll make I'll make an event. I'll pick a day, and I'll put it out far enough that you guys can
Yes, wait till I'm back.
make some space. No, then you could do it while you're at Convergence.
No.
No, it actually could probably be really good to do it while you're gone, so that way I can just be like alone in my spaceship. Because that's how I used to do it. I'd be like in my van, just like broadcasting. Jude says they'll do it at work. Yeah. So I guess the beautiful thing too, right, is like you don't have to be like laying down with a pillow in Shavasana to receive it. Like you could be. I had a dude who literally would be actually cutting people's hair. Oh, that's so funny. As Jude's is a hairdresser. He would be like he's like a barber in New York. Where was he from? He was like a Jamaican. Oh no, Puerto Rican dude. Yeah, he's a Puerto Rican dude cutting people's hair, listening to my sound healing, and he like had his phone up in the corner, and he'd just be like cutting people's hair. And me, I'm like watching him like dust people off and stuff. But
that's great.
That's awesome. So okay, cool. I'll probably do that. I've been thinking a lot about, or I've been getting a lot of signals about bringing some of the Reiki back online and some of those teachings, because I'm realizing like human design is an extension of those teachings ultimately, and it's also like strengthened those teachings. So I'm excited to bring that back online. Anyway, let's go to the I Ching.
Yeah.
For the gate 17.4.
So 9 in the 4th place means following creates success. Perseverance brings misfortune. To go one's way with sincerity brings clarity. How could there be blame in this? It often happens when a man exerts a certain amount of influence that he obtains a following by condescension toward inferiors. But the people who attach themselves to him are not honest in their intentions. They seek personal advantage and try to make themselves indispensable through flattery and subservience. If one becomes accustomed to such satellites and cannot do without them, it brings misfortune. Only when a man is completely free from his ego and intent by conviction upon what is right and essential, does he acquire the clarity that enables him to see through such people and become free of blame. Wow. I'm just thinking about the certain organization that takes on all the people that are like, praise.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I love all these people that are just saying we the best.
Yeah,
but they're not pointing out any of the fucking bullshit.
Being in the echo chamber is suck ass situation supreme.
When it's really, I'd rather have the people around me who are going to point out and be like, hey, you're fucking up in this area. Like, you need to work on this. It's like, oh, I'm going to keep you close to me because you're going to help me see through the bullshit and not have all these satellites who like, I'm going to suck energy off you and get close to you because I just want to be like getting that same energy that you're getting because you show up as a leader.
Right. And it's it's the difference between hearing what you want to hear from your friends, quote unquote friends. I say quote unquote because those are not actually, they don't actually care about you. They care about themselves and your approval of them. And your real friends who tell you what you need to hear. Right? Which is like I've been on this 5 things that you have to do every day. Drink water, move your body, put your feet in the soil, get in the sun, and pray over your food. And if you're not doing those things, you're not depressed, you're just unnourished or undernourished. But that's the thing, is no one wants to be told that. They want to be told oh, you're fucking, your mercury is in Gatorade and that's why you can't fucking love yourself. And so, blame the stars. And, obviously this is evolved. This is not a place where we encourage that kind of bypassing human design behavior.
Mercury is in Gatorade.
It is in Gatorade, right? It is. I think it is.
That's why we don't drink that shit.
Yeah, oh my god, I do drink it sometimes, honestly. Right, but we don't want to be in a space like that. right? Like the personal manager is the keynote of this line. And right, you either have a personal manager and you have an assistant who tells you what you want to hear, and they inflate your ego, which ultimately ends disastrous for both people because usually they dead end themselves. Or you have a personal manager that says like, "Hey, we're leaving right now," right? And okay, talent says, "Okay, yeah, cool, let's go." They trust that person not to just bullshit them all the time. And that's another thing too, is like, again, regardless of your definition, all of us have this sense when somebody is bullshitting us, right? Or let's say all of us are able to have this sense, some more so than others, when somebody has their own agenda mixed in, right? And they're following you, but you're not really, it's like you don't believe that they're following you just out of the kindness of their heart, but that they're following you because it will advance them in some sort of way. And it's not that that's a bad thing, right? It's just like, what is that thing? And what is the proportion of following? And what is the necessity of the following? Mm-hmm. Can this person follow from a greater distance and be less detrimental to you? Less that to you? Probably. But would it hurt your ego because you wouldn't have someone talking about how beautiful your hair is and how great your skincare routine is? My skincare routine, by the way, Sean. Hop it. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say it.
Skincare routine is hop it.
I thought of that like 5 minutes ago. I was like, oh yeah, man. Yesterday.
By the way, Sean, it's been such a, just want to shout you out. It's been such a pleasure having you in this Discord and like your humor. And I'm gonna schedule one of the shows. Yeah, Mohawk Muppet.
Oh, that's Sean.
Yeah. It's just been awesome having you in the server, my friend. But anyway, I think that'll do it for the
I'll do a little bit.
for the transits. Yeah. Fourth line. We got 2 more days of the Magica of this one. I haven't even looked what we're going into next, but it's like I'm obviously learning so much just from going through the transits in this way.
Yeah.
And yeah, cool. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Much love to you. If you want to support the server, we have the premium subscriptions. Mm-hmm. Feel free to check those out. Don't forget to put some gifts in the characters as gates or some songs and YouTube videos. This recording is going to be cycled through probably in 15 or 30 minutes, and it'll be available as a YouTube thing in the transit updates, which, as you've probably already seen, the transit updates is also just like my YouTube. So the stuff that would be getting posted on TikTok and any of that stuff, you don't want to be on TikTok anymore, it's going to be there as well. Also, because I can't figure out how to get BMO to just post the transit updates and not post my TikTok and all that stuff. So that's just, it's transit updates mixed in with my YouTube. Just again, another disclaimer that probably no one really even needed or cared about. Anyway, love you guys. Mahalo. Aloha. Catch you later.